going to buy some stuff, and one of the stuff he wanted to buy was a folder, because he was a short timer. He was getting ready to get out, so he was going to buy some stuff to help him when he got out. So I'm like, you know what? I need to start doing the same thing, even though I didn't know what the future held, but I still just got to start preparing. You know what I mean? You heard the story, the parable of the bridegroom in the Bible. It talks about just being ready. The parable of the man where it says you don't wait for somebody to break in your house. Listen, I really enjoy burning incense, sage, Palo Santo. Really enjoy the smell, the aroma. Bro, I don't know how anybody could not like this. If you gotta go through life and you're allergic to this in some way, shape, or form, or you just don't like the aroma from these things, I feel for you. I really do. But I really enjoy this, you know? Watch the light, the smoke. It's beautiful, no? Look at that. It just opens me up spiritually. What's going on, everybody? My name is Lanry Onigbinde Bay. Welcome to another episode of Don't Quote Me on the 27th Letter podcast. Well, I was gonna look at the other camera and say peace, but peace. We're only working with one camera. My other camera's in Europe. Somebody took it to Europe on their vacation. But we'll just work with this one camera for now. It's working. It's always worked. Old reliable Canon. My long friend, Canon. I'm just a little distracted. But today, we're going to talk about seeing by faith, not by sight. Seeing by faith, not by sight. A lot of people look at faith as some pairs you go. They need evidence along the way. People want evidence along the way, want evidence for this, evidence for that. But for the most part, when we plan out this life, this journey, we even forgot what our purpose was once we get down to this realm. So a lot of our journey is based on faith. Just look at the human being's journey. It's based on faith. And the people who struggle with having faith, or the people who struggle with having faith or keeping the faith, struggle in this world. They have a huge disadvantage. But when you're able to see by faith, not by sight, you understand what it takes. I'm going to share with you guys a couple of stories, First with myself, as you guys already know. I got sentenced to life in prison in 2002, and I won my appeal in 2010, and after almost 8 years of being incarcerated. Unjustly incarcerated. My case should have been a self-defense. I got into that. There's other videos on that. You can check that out at the end of the video, where I talk about what led to me, beating my charge. And I don't know if you call it beating a charge after you did almost 8 years, but I'll take it as long as I'm not on parole for life. I don't know how man's doing it. I don't want to, trust me, I can't fathom the thought. But put this down. Anyways, so in 2002, got sentenced to life. I got on the phone shortly after I got back from the jail. From the courthouse, When I got back to the jail, I got on the phone, called the mother of my daughter, my only child then. She was only 1.5 years when I got locked up. So by the time I got convicted in 2004, you know, she was a little over 3, you know. So I called the mother of my daughter and told her, basically, listen, I'm not going to be there to help you raise this child. And, you know, I never got teared up much in the process of just going through the whole ordeal of getting convicted and getting sentenced. But calling her and telling her that I'm not going to be there to help her raise our child I was teary-eyed, very, very much teary-eyed. But based on the injustice that took place, I told the mother of my only child then, was that, hey, listen, the time they gave me, I'm not going to do. Meaning, I know I'm going to win my appeal. I'm going to be out sooner than a lot of people thought. And that was always something I believed. Matter of fact, I knew this because I knew so much about my case. So I know, like, there's no way this injustice is going to carry on for too long. I shared that with the mother of my daughter, and, you know, nonetheless, a couple of days later, she sent me a Dear John letter telling me about how she's been with somebody else and been dating other people, so on and so forth, unbeknownst to me while I was fighting this case. You know, so conveniently, after she knew I wasn't coming out, she sent me a letter letting me know, hey, for sure. And the only thing I really asked for, which is no big deal to me, you want to go see other people, fine. Just bring my daughter to see me, that's all. And I told her I'll be out a lot sooner. But, again, some people need the evidence to believe. Some people do, but some of us don't. So, from 2002 to 2004, I was in a provincial jail, got convicted, and then from 2004 till 2010, when I won my appeal, I was in the federal institution, the penitentiary. So while awaiting my trial, I did things and took steps to make sure that I put myself in the best position, not only to win my appeal, but not to even hinder anything any chance I have of getting this appeal. Behaving myself in prison, you know what I mean? Just not getting myself caught up with anything negative, no misconduct, and so on and so forth. There's a few things, but nothing major, you know. So these are the steps I took on a faith level to make sure I got the results I wanted. I will manifest the results I wanted. After I left the maximum security, which you have to serve 2 years, which I had to serve 2 years in there. When you're serving certain sentences, you have to go start your sentences at a maximum security and then cascade down. So when I started from cascade down to a medium security prison called Fembroke. And when I was at Fembroke, that's when I started really sitting down trying to manifest my freedom. What I mean by that is, if anybody that's been to Fembroke, right, there's a chapel and then there's an entrance to education building where the gym and so on and so forth. That entrance to that building, usually I think when you're facing the exit, there's an office right there, and then I think there's a school to the right. So there's an exit leading up to where the chapel is, and then where A&D is. And A&D is where you do reception for all the guys coming in or leaving the prison. So I would sit by this exit to the building and sit and stare at the gate and just visualize myself leaving. I did this for months on end. Not only did I do that, I started taking steps in preparing for my freedom. One of the things I did is when I got to Fembroke, one of the guys that lived on the range, his name was Steve, and he was going to buy some stuff, and one of the stuff he wanted to buy was a folder, because he was a short timer, he was getting ready to get out, so he was going to buy some stuff to help him when he got out. So I'm like, you know what, I need to start doing the same thing, even though I didn't know what the future held, but I still just got to start preparing. You know what I mean? You heard the story, the parable of the bridegroom in the Bible. It talks about just being ready. The parable of the man where it says, you don't wait for somebody to break in your house and then tell them, hey, wait up, let me get strong so I can defend myself. You're ready. You're strong already. You don't wait. So I'm not going to wait till the day of or till last minute to start scrambling, trying to figure out. These are the type of thoughts that I had in my mind that helped me even when I got out. People who hadn't seen me in years looked at me and was like, bro, you look like you didn't miss a beat. It's because mentally I was already out. Even though physically I was in prison, but mentally I was out of there. I know I didn't belong there. So I took every steps. And one of the steps, when Steve was going to buy stuff to help to get ready for his freedom, I was like, let me buy some things too. And one of the things I bought was this folder. It's a little bad. It's a little beat up. My cat had got to it a few times. Chewed it up, but this folder is significant because in 2007 I got this when I was in Fembro, and the plan is whenever I get out, this is what I'm going to be using to go on and doing wherever I need to go business wise and so on and so forth. So anytime I have an important meeting or anything like that, I bring this with me. I don't carry it like I used to, but now it's just symbolic of seeing by faith, not by sight. I bought this in 2007 while I was still serving a life sentence, and once all that manifested, I was able to use it for what I wanted it for. So eventually in 2009 my appeal was heard. 2010 I won my appeal, and April 23rd I got out. You know what I mean? These are the steps I took to make sure to manifest what I wanted, which you could do too in your life, you know what I mean, as long as your heart's pure. Another story, I'm going to take it back to when I was younger, when I was in a different part of the world. I was about 9 years old. I got very ill, and my mom, a spiritual woman, not really just spiritual, she did go to church, so for whatever reason, she felt like I was passing. That's how ill I was. I was so ill, I was in and out of consciousness. But my mom, for whatever conviction or belief that she felt, that whatever the hospital, the doctors or the nurses couldn't help me. Whatever I was that was ailing me had nothing to do with medication. There wasn't anything that medication could do. She felt that prayer. So for like 2 days, we were at her church, and this church was in it was just something with a roof over the head, 4 walls. I don't even think there was windows like that. You know what I mean? In the church. So, and there's no power. So we were there for 2 days, and in the dark, she's praying. Eventually, I got better. And this is a story I'll never forget. This is an incident I'll never forget, and I'll always share it because it just showed my mom's strong conviction and faith in me getting better. So I always remember that, seen by sight, not by faith. And I have numerous other examples in regards to my mom, how she was the way she lived her life was with conviction. There's no stopping her. Spiritually, once she was engaged, you would never be able. You can't stop my mom. And I think I got a little bit of that too from her. So another story I want to share with you is kind of personal and cool for me to share this story because it's about somebody else. To protect their privacy, I'm going to use the name Lopez as this woman's name. So Lopez is a young lady. After I got her, I spoke to you guys about me going to the courthouses and, just being there for the younger guys who were facing murder charges, who were going before the courts, who had little to no support. And so I just become an advisor or mentor for these guys. So I showed up to their court dates and so on and so forth. One of the days I showed up to this one particular person's murder case, a girl was there who he already told me about. So I went to go talk to her, and the girl was very defensive. When you're in the court, when you're in the hallways of those courtrooms, you don't know who's there for the defendant, who's there for, you know what I mean? So you're a little guarded. She was a little guarded when I approached her, talking to her, but come to find out, she realized who I was, that I was a friend of her boyfriend at that point. And this young lady, Lopez, is 17. Her man was 19, and they are just met. Like, somebody introduced them while he was incarcerated on the phone. And this girl, at 17 years old, dedicated her life for this man, for this young man. At 17. Remember, I told you about the mother of my daughter, where she was like a whole 20-something-year-old, 25-year-old, 24-year-old, making the decision she made with the child that we have together. This young woman, Lopez, didn't have a child with this person, nothing like that. She didn't have to be there. She just could have just walked away and said, hey, this guy's looking at a life sentence, which he actually got convicted of. So she could have still opted out when he got convicted. Nope, she stayed. Her very first visit, because over time this Lopez girl would always, reach out to me. We became very good friends. Her and my Empress became really close friends. So since we became family pretty much. So anything that's going on with her boyfriend, who's also my friend, that's how I met her, because of him. So she would update me. I remember the first time she went to the prison, to penitentiary, to visit him, the guards there looked at her and said, why are you here? You're so beautiful. Why do you want to waste your time why? Man, I was upset when she told me this, because something about some of these CSC staff, they're so lazy. I don't know what it is, if it's their own insecurity, because in their own life maybe they can't get people to come visit them while they're free out in the world, let alone being in prison. So it's they're dumbfounded, like, what do you mean, you beautiful girl, you come. And the girl is a beautiful girl. Everything they said was true, you know what I mean? But this is what she chose. She's conviction, that she's living with conviction, and she believed in her man, believed in the future they may have together. So I met this girl back in 2010. So this guy was serving a life sentence. So throughout the whole time, she's going to the pen, visiting him. So she went from barely having a driver's license to borrowing her parents' car, then buying her own car, and then going up there numerous times to visit her man. All this for years and years. Dedicated. This girl inspires me in so much ways, but more ways than one of the ways that she really inspired me is to just how dedicated she is to her man and helping him in every way. There were things she had to fight for him on his behalf while out here. You know what I mean? We're talking about a young woman that could have been doing anything. Like, we're on social media, see what the young people are doing. This is, this one of the young girls. This lady's like, nah, this is me. And she was dedicated and did it. And would you believe this year or a year ago, the guy got parole. He's out. Like, it's a beautiful story, and I really root for you guys. You guys know who you are. I root for you guys. I haven't heard from you guys in a minute. For whatever reason, it is what it is. But the love is real, and I root for you guys. This is a beautiful love story that I'm sharing with you guys. 17. Now she's in her 20s. No, sorry. Now she's in her early 30s, both of them. He's out. He's got a job. They're engaged. Like, it's such a beautiful story. Going from the 17-year-old and the guard in prison trying to deter you, and numerous times she could have been deterred and discouraged from continuing this relationship with this man. And she had no reason to even start the relationship, but she lived with conviction, and she manifested everything. Both of them manifested what they wanted, and now they're back. He's out, and they're together on the road. I want to take the time to salute the women, men too, but the women that really go out of their ways to support the guys in jail. You know what I mean? Z, salute. G's gonna be home soon. I'm so happy for both couples. It's two different couples I just mentioned. Man, I root for you guys. I root for you guys so much. Now, talk about seeing by faith. 14 years this young lady waited. 17, from the age of 17, she started this. What were you doing at 17? You know what I mean? Age is nothing but a number. Some people just know themselves early on, and I salute you, Lopez. You already know who you are. The last story I'm going to share with you is in regards to a friend of mine that I was incarcerated with, who was actually from another country. So after his time was done, they're going to deport him. And he has a close relationship with his mom, and I got to know his mom, over the phone. And when I got out, because I got out before him, a few years before him, his mom would contact me, just relay messages and so on and so forth. But there was a time period where my friend, for whatever reason, didn't contact his mom. When I say time period, I mean like a couple of years. Out of frustration, one day she calls me out the blue and it's like, listen, and she went off, made sure like I got the message to him to make sure he calls her. Obviously, like once mom speaks, I gotta relay the message, like, and it wasn't like no regular message, like, bro. So I called, when he called me, I spoke to my homie. I'm like, bro, you need to call your mother. You need to call her right now, which he did. He obliged to call her. You know what I mean? I tell you this story because years later, after he got deported and got off the plane, I was on the phone. Because she did not know him when he was getting out. When he didn't tell his mom that he was serving a life sentence, which he was. He just told her, hey, I'm doing time and I'll be out when I'm out. So years is going by and she's like, when are you coming home? So these are the things, I gather that's where he kind of stopped calling her for a couple of years because the questions became too much about when he was getting out. So when he got out finally, and she did not know, I was on the phone, she didn't know he was coming home. It was all a surprise. He knocked on the door, and hearing the embrace and her reaction, it's a sound I would never forget. I wish I recorded it, but at the same time, it was just for my ears alone, for real, and the people who were there to see it. You know what I mean? So, oh man, it was most beautiful sound. This is a woman that waited years unknowingly, not knowing how much time, when he's coming home or nothing. And eventually the man got out, hopped on the plane, went straight to his mom's place, knocked on the door, and it was the most beautiful reunion. I just picture it. Whatever you could picture as a fairy tale, that's exactly what happened. I did, like, hearing her cry. Oh my God, I'll never forget that. I share all these stories about people who seen by faith with you that, listen, man, no matter what they're telling you, whether your health, finance, career, love life, whatever the case may be, you're incarcerated, don't give up. Keep your heart pure and don't give up. That's all I gotta say. Keep your heart pure and don't give up. It's too easy to give up, but anyways, thank you for joining me today. Check out this next video right here. All right, somewhere around here, I'm talking about how I got out how I won my appeal. Peace.